There. Right, excellent. So that's only 15 minutes of the stream with no chat. Well done. There we go. There we go. As I was saying, or rather not, often when I get raided, I lose where I'm at, and I just start sort of babbling on and chatting, where could really do with actually you've gone a half hour before. With giving people an idea of what it actually is that I'm streaming, because that's got to be helpful, surely. So, if the description wasn't clear enough, we are currently working on a second edition. I say second edition. It's a bit more of a project than just a second edition army, but that does for now. You know, for the briefest of details, we're working on a real bunch of old models. I'd like to paint them in a very, very clear, clean second edition style, in much the same way as I've done my test miniature, and yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of very, very old models. I say very, very old models. We've got a whole bunch of classic models. They're not old, they're classic. My camera keeps moving, I think. Or maybe it's me moving it, who knows. And yeah, so the objective of the whole project is to work our way through these models and get a nice functioning second edition legal army list. Yeah, I'm having a blast with it, to be honest with you. Just finishing off a few, well, I say finishing off, just catching up on a few details on our Viper here. I need to apply a second coat of this blue. Yeah, that is the classic Farseer. That's the second edition Farseer, who had a very, very brief role in the second edition codex, as in he never appeared in colour. He was in black and white right at the end of the book. But yeah, that's actually, I think he predates second. I think he is actually a Rogue Trader miniature. But yeah, that's him. He is such a glorious model. I got this. I have to admit, I got that model when it was made to order, because I missed out on it the first time round, because by the time I joined, they were no longer selling him. So I was gutted, absolutely gutted. Right. Next onto the painting table is another squad of scouts. This squad is the second of two squads in the army. Some of the keen-eyed amongst you may spot a conversion snuck in there, with technically a third edition onwards head, but it's my minis and not yours, so I don't care. I'm properly pleased with how neat that head looks on that body. I think that's quite an appropriate head, so that's staying. I have got other scout models that I could substitute in, but I'd prefer to keep it that way. And now we're going to mix up some of our blue, and our blue is done in 2 coats at the moment. We are going to be adding a couple more in, which is Macragge blue over the Talassar contrast blue. The Macragge blue is added as a really, really watery mix. Not quite sure how I settled on this as a recipe, but I did, and it's come out quite nice, so I am going to stick to this. And so then the process is to mix up our paint and just slap it on. No, with that one he was a bearhead. So that's a conversion of that guy. So I've got one of those in the squad. I have some of the other ones as well. I say I have some of the other ones. I have all of them, but I'm only doing 2 squads worth in this army at the moment. Might add more later on. As I said, the idea behind it is to create a 2nd edition legal force first, and then, as if I was replaying my youth and gradually moving up the editions, I'm going to add in additional models to the list. I'm sorry about the dogs in the background. I can't really close the curtains because close the windows because it will get extremely warm in here. So I'm going to have to just sort of put up with them, even though they're very, very annoying. So yeah, the idea is that gradually what we will do is turn our 2nd edition legal force into a 3rd edition legal force with, you know, by adding models to it, and then we will gradually turn it into a 4th edition legal force, and so on and so forth, until we get all the way up. I mean, that's optimistic, all the way up to the current edition. Yeah, not sure about that. I do very much like the idea of creating a current, what is it now, 10th edition? I think we're on 10th edition now, but I'm not sure that I've got the stamina or enough models to particularly go all that way, especially as all the models that I've got are effectively 2nd and a few 3rd. I don't actually have any further along. I'm going to shut the window because that dog is going pretty mad. I don't have any of the further along miniatures, so you know, we'll have to see. Jimmy, thank you very much for the follow. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. Welcome to the channel as well. But that is a long-term goal. That's you know what we're hoping for. Freya, welcome back to the stream. Thank you very much for the raid. It's very much appreciated. 2nd raid of the evening, and we're only 20 minutes into the stream. So wow, thank you guys. Really appreciate that. The stream is going lovely at the moment. How was yours? I hope you had a good one. I did manage to catch one of your streams the other day. It was rather good watching you paint some miniatures. Right, there we go. I am quite a fan of that. Yes, Jimmy. Second and 3rd are very, very strong additions of the game. So that is where I intend to park my bus, as it were, for now. Yeah. So I have looked on, what was it, New Recruit, the website that I think Badger showed us about creating these army lists for older editions. And yeah, I think I can modify the army into a 3rd edition list without too much problem. I mean, it's fairly logical that that's the case. What I'll probably end up doing is trying to keep the idea of a slightly themed army. So when I add to the army and turn it into a 3rd edition, it will be the case that I add a, not Bealtan, but for example, a Swordwind. So to the army, I will add in, you know, if this is 1,000 points, I will add in 1,000 points of Aspect Warriors, for example. That's not exactly what I'm saying that I will do, but that's what I'll look at doing. And then if I look at doing another edition, it will maybe be add in 1,000 points of Army of the Dead, so Wraith Lords, Wraith Guard, that sort of thing. Trying to keep it themed the whole way, which I think has merit. Hold on just a second. I did wonder why it wasn't quite boiling up in here just yet, and that's because I hadn't shut the door, so my whole family would have been getting the benefit of the stream. Can't be having that. They need to sub for that. Right, so we've got our scouts are coming along. I am thinking with these guys that we'll probably look at green cloaks, because green just seems natural, really, doesn't it? That's how they should be. I know they did in like 3rd edition and beyond. They actually came up with some special rules for Alatox scouts. They created pathfinders, which were like super scouts. But for 2nd edition, these guys are just standard scouts. So perhaps when I add some more, I might paint some up as pathfinders. And basically what it was in the codex when they created them, they came out as part of Codex Craft Worlds, which is where they tried to do something special for each of the main described craft worlds. As per a lot of the 3rd edition factions, they released like a supplementary codex midway through. So we had Codex Death Worlds, I think it was. Codex Armageddon was another one. Just trying to think what else they did on these supplementary codexes. But it was a nice touch. So what I do like about adding this really, really watered down coat is that it helps me. You can just see it on here where I've got this sort of coffee staining going on. So the contrast paint that's gone over the top, I adore the colour of this contrast paint. But the nature of contrast annoys me. The way it's applied the way it leaves its marks. It works sometimes. This whole idea of applying it and just sort of running away and leaving it. It does need to be worked in a bit more than that, and if you don't, you end up with what I've got here, which is where it leaves these tide marks of contrast paint. Well, when I come back and add in this over the top, it gives me just this glorious sort of purpley blue colour where you can see the base colour seeping through just at the edge of it. I must remember to try and keep my work in the middle of the screen there, but it's a really nice blue, and then I'm going to go and ruin it by trying to highlight it all. I'm fairly happy with the process that we've got for the blue. We can work our way through the blue without too much work. We have another 2 stages to go after this one. That's a highlight of lightning bolt blue and then a highlight of ice blue over the top. Whether I go pure ice blue or whether I mix in a little bit of lightning bolt is undecided just yet, but second edition models, because they're so crisp, clean and simple, they do benefit from crisp, clean and simple highlights. So it might be best just to bite the bullet and do a pretty clear edge highlight of pure ice blue rather than trying to faff around with it and mix in different shades. I mean, that would still be, in terms of second edition models, that would still be a sort of 4-stage, oh, that's a bit thick, a 4-stage blue, which is quite extreme for second edition. You'll have to forgive me, I normally have my phone open with chat in front of me so that I don't need to keep looking up at the screen in order to keep track of what's happening, but the battery's died on it, so I'll have to go without at the moment. Oh, actually, no, that's a point. I can unplug something and perhaps plug it in. Ooh. Aha, yes, see, I have a plan, a really sneaky plan. There we go. Oh, hang on. I have also just updated my computer to Windows 11, so now it's pinging at me and bonging and telling me that it's going to do some things. A projector to project onto the desk in front of me. Wow. That sounds far too much like progress and technology and computer wizardry. I'm not sure that I agree with you. I'm not sure that that should be allowed. I'm not sure that any one man could handle that sort of power. If anyone can do it, it's you, Badge. Right, there we go. That's another one done. We've got one more to do in this squad. Now, obviously these guys don't actually have any yellow painted on them at the moment. It does sound, yeah, a projector projecting onto your desk. Yep. That can't possibly go wrong and end up with something on fire. Well, actually, it probably can't, but, you know, if you end up giving yourself laser eye surgery or something, then don't say that I didn't warn you. So, I mean, I caught the portion of your stream where you were sort of adding random things into army lists. But what's the goal there, Badge? Are you going to build those army lists? Is that your plan? Are you going to flood us with fully painted 2,000 point armies, multiple Imperial Guard armies? Is that your goal? Is that what's going to happen? I want to see it. I want to see you deliver on these multiple Guard armies. Hey, okay, excellent. See, I don't tend to have too many boxes of sort of untouched stuff lying around now. I did get rid of quite a lot of it. Unfortunately, what I've replaced it with is boxes of random shit. So it's just lots of different things. So I replaced like boxes of an army of stuff. And I've replaced it with a box of random Warhammer miniatures that got put on my desk, and then I got really bored of looking at them. So instead of doing anything with them, I cleared them off my desk by clearing them off my desk, and that's all I did with them. I went, oh, okay, put those in that box. Done. Doesn't matter that they're all mixed up and completely random stuff. That's just how it went. Bear with me just 1 second, guys. Well, Badge, I might go on and on about the benefits of Oldhammer over modern junk, but I have a feeling that you and I are probably fairly similar when it comes to you know, hobbies. It's just that you carried on doing it, whereas I stopped in like the late 90s. And not that I stopped doing it, it's just that that's where I peaked and I stayed there. Right. Now, I said that what we would probably end up doing is a bunch of sort of little detail-y bits. So we have some flesh, because there was no flesh on our tester mini. We didn't do any flesh because we didn't have any flesh to do. Yeah, I think my main stoppage was quite a bit before 2008. Let's have a look. When did I When did I discover girls? Yeah, it's probably more like 2003 where I stopped and packed it in for about 5 years. And yeah, I didn't touch it at all in that time. And then I just sort of went, oh, hang on, yeah, and just picked it up again and carried on. I'm not entirely sure how. I'm not entirely sure how I managed to step away from the hobby, yet I've still got all of the white dwarfs. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if I was just sort of like sleep buying white dwarfs. Because I didn't have a subscription or anything. Or I don't know, mid 2000s white dwarves were a bit of a weird place to be fair. They aren't exactly the most there's a few sort of good hobby related things in there, but a lot of them are just utter trash. That's not gone on very well at all, and now I've just sponged it over his yellow. Oh well, it sets a base colour, and we are going to come back and highlight that. Yes we will. Right, so we're going to do our flesh tones now. We've got a couple of fleshy elves to paint. God, I never realised quite how much weird and wonderful little details this got. Mostly, I assume I never realised it because I never actually got around to painting one of this guy. Look at that. He's got like a little thing on his head there that runs into his hairline. He's got another one here that runs into his hairline, and another one there. Don't know what this guy is all about, to be honest with you. Howdy AWOL, thank you for dropping by. How are you? It's been a little while. I hope things are well in your corner of the good old US of A. Badger, no need to apologise, my friend. It is absolutely fine. You drop into a lurk whenever you need to. I really appreciate you dropping by, and I will hopefully catch your stream tomorrow. So if you don't make it back before the end of this one, which I know from experience is fairly unlikely, I wish you the very best of evenings, and I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much, AWOL. They're very much just base coated, but we are starting to hammer along with them now. Hopefully it won't be too long before we actually have a recognisable sort of army in front of us. I've only got a couple more colours that I need to sort of, you know, lay out the foundations for, and then we will actually be looking at a sort of almost ready to sort of hit the table with them, which it sounds really intimidating when I actually say it like that, because that's been a very long time since I've even considered gaming with them because I've not really had much in the way of painted playable armies. So you never know, I might end up doing the unthinkable with some of these guys and putting them on the table. So we're going to get all of the flesh tones just touched in, just based. Obviously we are going to come back and work on them. But that for me is one of the nice things about contrast, is you can just drop a ton of contrast on it and then say, right, that's it, done, until I've got time to come back and work that colour in properly. So we've got there's some ears going on there somewhere, I'm sure of it. That's an ear there. Yeah, that's all good. Right, let's have a look. So we have one more open helmed model. That will be that's it for flesh, which is good in a way. I'm not a massive fan of painting and highlighting up flesh, but I do think they make interesting breaks from the norm of the army. So there we go. That's our helmetless crew. 6 models with bare exposed skin. But I'm not complaining because bare exposed skin is a ball ache to paint. Now, what I would like to try and do, I'd love some. Thank you. Now what I'd like to try and do is I'd like to try and get a little bit of skeleton horde done, because picking out the bone colour on some of these models I think will really shape where we are. They'll start to actually look how I intended them to. So what I'm going to do is fairly nice and secure now, because I broke this the other day on stream, as you do, is just hit some of these bits with yes. Now before I do anything with them, I'm just going to correct a couple of little spots where we've been a bit enthusiastic with our base colours. So let's pop our miniatures back where they should be. It's very cack-handed of me getting all these miniatures out and going, oh look, this is what we've got to work with, and then having to put them all back again. But yeah, what I need to do now is I need to correct a little bit of the blue. Not so much the yellow, there's a tiny little bit of it that I need to correct in there. Just need to correct the tiniest amount of it. Yeah, it's very much of its time, but I do really like how the Eldar Warwalker comes across. I think it's a really, really nice model, if I'm honest. I've always had a soft spot for it because it's just such a it just looks like something, I don't know, that would exist. Is that how I'm looking to describe it? I don't know if it is, because I don't think it would exist, because I think it's a bit too impractical. This guy sat here. What would it exist for apart from war? I suppose it is called a war walker, but I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. But yes, it does look rather Macrossy. I'm doing my best to not put this onto a painting handle, because it was putting it onto the painting handle the other day that made me break it. I say made me break it. I broke it, yes, I admit it. I was being a bit cack-handed. And I just put it on the base and then went, oh, okay, that doesn't feel very secure, and squeezed right on the reverse knee joints right here, and one leg just popped out of its socket and broke there. Obviously not the bit that's glued into the base, which is quite clearly stronger than everything else. So yes, I was being a bit bullish with my handling of it. So I'm being quite careful not to put it onto a painting base, because that's how I broke it. And of course what I'm going to end up doing is handling it until I break it. Now I know technically this pure white that I'm using isn't quite right, but when I come back with the contrast paint, I hope it should fill in enough of that white that it's not too noticeable. What I didn't fancy doing was going back and finding a grey and putting multiple applications of it on. Thank you. To duplicate the way it was undercoated. So we'll put this white on and we will just effectively, fingers crossed, hope for the best. Which we should be okay with. I realise this is pretty much out of shot now, so I'm not making good TV. So I do hope everyone had a good weekend. As I said at the top of the stream, mine was excellent. For those of you who weren't here, I had an absolutely lovely time. Managed to spend some nice time with my daughter. Managed to get some lovely D&D in as well, which is always nice. Our campaign is progressing quite nicely now. It does feel like we're into a really nice section of it where we can finally get to use some of our sort of level 2 abilities and show off a bit. Right, that's that one done. Then we've got the weapons, which I don't think actually need any work on them, but I do need to find a way to hold them, which is going to be really awkward. Whee, spinning round. Okay. Now the yellow is going to need second coats on most of this. In fact, almost the whole army, the yellow is going to need second coats. So we'll pop that to one side for now. We'll let that dry off a little bit. Doesn't need to dry off much because I've done it as a very, very thin coat. So what we now need to do is skeleton horde. Wow, that's it's almost slightly terrifying when I come to think about adding a third colour on. A third colour effectively gets us to the point where we could legally field the model. Let's go ahead . I think with these, if we apply this nicely to the bottom, the reason I'm doing this quite heavily in contrast is because I can tilt. I need to find a way to hold this, but what I can basically do is tilt this up so that anything sort of drains down the model. That makes sense, towards that tip, and then it will congregate at the bottom there. And then I can use that area to highlight up or add in some alternative colour shading, you know, like a burnt effect. That's unusual. We've got like a crackling going on there. Hope that's not a sign of something messing up paint wise. It reacting or something. Fingers crossed. Let's pop that to one side and we'll see if we can get a place for that to dry. Where will that go? that will go just there. Just there, won't you? It'll go just there. Be good and stay there. It might stay there, you never know. Right, we'll set that to dry for now. While we do the same effect on the rest of this bad boy. And don't worry, this will all be getting a nice highlight as well. It's not just going to be this plain left as is skeleton horde, but it is an excellent way for me to start it off and find some highlight points with the contrast paint. That's what I most like the product for, is not that it can just be done and left and ignored. You can do that, and don't get me wrong, I am not going to judge anybody who turns around and just whacks contrast paint on, because to my mind, get rid of the grey plastic, the bane of the hobby. Get rid of it. And if to get rid of it, it involves you just putting contrast paint on a model, then so be it. That's what it takes. But for the really good effects with contrast, it starts as a base. You use it as a tool rather than the one and that's it sort of product that you use. It just starts off as a base and you work up from there. Personally, when I was doing the D&D models, I would absolutely, with a lot of them, just right, contrast paint, get it out the door. Mostly because they're a lot lower quality miniatures. They don't react that brilliantly to having an awful lot of detail placed on them. There's not that much detail to actually pick out on a lot of the models, so trying to spend hours and hours highlighting them up and what have you was a huge waste of time. So just coming in and hitting them with contrast might sound like an easy cop-out, but actually it was the best, most efficient way of spending your time on them. Do you think I got away with that? Saying that it wasn't a cop-out? Nah, probably not. Still going to have the contrast paint police come and hunt me down. Okay, well, that is almost starting to look like a model. Obviously there's a huge amount of work left to do on it, but that is starting to look like something resembling the test pieces. It is starting to look like something resembling a fully fledged Warhammer model. Yeah, as I thought, I'm going to have to come along with a lot of these models and tidy them up before I can add that skeleton horde to all of them. So we're going to put that to one side for now, and we're going to do a much larger spread across the models in one of my absolute favourite contrast colours. Gore Grunter Fur. It's a stunning colour for leather. Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend it. And the beauty of this is we can grab pretty much all of our basic miniatures and just one at a time hit those areas that have pouches and belts and anything like that. Excuse me, coughing away here. Yeah, we can hit those areas that that need that little bit of extra attention, and then just rock on through the whole sort of. Because I've now got the squads all to the one stage, to the same stage, we can just rock through with this colour, and hopefully that'll be another colour crossed off the list. Right, I've just realised I probably really should have come along and cleaned up this as well, because some of that blue is going to show through. One of the reasons I like this brown is because it is a very, very opaque colour. It does cover a lot of the mistakes that you get. Whereas a lot of contrast paints, they won't. This one does, but some of those bits of blue are still going to show through. I'm almost certain of it. We'll see. It's covering it up really well, so I'm very tempted just to go, no, that'll do, and leave it. But do you know what? I think if we highlight that, nobody will ever notice that there was blue underneath it. Just a tiny patch of blue on there. Like I say, no one will notice once we've highlighted that area up. So our new lazy plan is our brown is going to be very lazy brown. Not quite sure if he's supposed to have a belt or something there, but we're going to paint it in that way anyway. I don't think that is supposed to be a belt, but it is now painted as a belt. There we go. Now, this is the thing I am unsure about. Do I paint all their leather jackets in this beautiful brown leather? Or do I just go, no, that's going to look a bit silly. Belt can still be brown, can't it? Even if he's not wearing the same colour leather on his jacket. I don't know, because there's a lot of tabs and tassels and what have you going on that look like they really should be leather. Let's try doing them. I'm not going to do the main body of the jacket though. So we're going to do that tassel there. We're going to do this one here. Come back and pick out the metal later on. It's alright fella, no problem at all. What are you hobbying on at the moment? Because I haven't seen one of your streams in a little while. I will have to catch up with you at some point. Right, here we go. So we will need to inspect our range of paints for a suitable colour for these leather jackets, because it's just not going to cut it, I think, painting it all in brown, because it's going to look... Ah, okay, that's very cool. I haven't seen any of the models for it at all, but I will be sure to check it out I was a little bit gutted actually yesterday, because the local shop that we go and play D&D in, they'd organised a bring and buy board game sale, and I sort of made a special effort to go into town, because we normally go in there on a Sunday to play D&D, but we changed around over the last couple of weeks to play a Saturday game. Blimey, welcome in, Phil. Thank you very much. Everyone, this is NG, a Mech Warrior Online streamer who I haven't actually seen for a little while, fella. How are you? I hope you had a great stream. Oh, you're not allowed to watch. Is that against the rules? Are they self-imposed rules, Phil, or are you under licensing? You might get sued again. Oh man, I did catch your YouTube video the other day. Yeah, you've got to be really careful. Don't dare to mention the term Warhammer or anything of that ilk. It is a very sad state of affairs, but I can imagine you're now under strict NDA that you're not allowed to ever discuss Warhammer again. Oh dear, it is actually a really, really bad state of affairs what happened there. I do feel for you, buddy. But thank you very much. I hope you had a brilliant stream, by the way. I hope it was a good one. I will have to make a concerted effort to catch one of your next ones when you're chatting about construction or something else along those lines. No worries, buddy. I hope you have a great one. Have a good day with your kid, and yeah, I'll hopefully catch a stream of yours soon. I will see if I can find some tau for you. They are the closest thing to a battle mech after all, and yeah. So long, buddy, so long. So for everyone who has joined and is planning to stick around, who isn't under legal obligation to never mention Warhammer, namely myself, we're doing a very, very old set of Warhammer miniatures. These ones are probably mid-90s, and I'm doing a bit of a period project at the moment. So yeah, do feel free to check out the Instagram and Discord links, where I am slowly but surely managing to post up pictures every so often. I have all the best intentions of getting down there and taking pictures and setting up my camera and my photo booth and what have you, and then something happens, even if it's something as simple as it being a lovely day and deciding to cut the grass. Because at the moment I am still at the stage of both painting and streaming where other things take priority. So yeah, you'll have to forgive me if it is a little bit disjointed at times, but we've been working on these guys now for probably about 4 or 5 streams. We're slowly bringing things along. As you can see, the style is very, very typical of the older Games Workshop stuff. There's a lot of sort of cyberpunk and crazy hair and outlandish weaponry going on. Fairly far removed from BattleTech and the Mech Warrior universe. But you know, we work with what we've got, and I I've been around Warhammer a lot longer than I have been Mech Warrior. Although, that being said, I have resolved that before the year is out, I will pick up the Catalyst Games Lab starter box and get myself a couple of battle mechs painted up and done. I've looked at that box set a couple of times and gone, ooh, yeah, I really would like to get and paint some of those. So perhaps once these guys are done, that will be my next project. To get me some painted battle mechs. Although the last thing I really need to do is to collect another hobby. Unfortunately, I'm quite good at that, collecting hobbies. Not, you know, not finding another hobby to do, but just collect another one. Buy some more stuff and then have stuff sat around not getting done. But yeah. Okay, as I say, I am going to have to come back and hit all of these miniatures up with a little bit of tidy up before we come along and do the bone colours, because of the bone is a very, very light colour, and it's really going to show up if I don't get it into the right sort of color field. So if we don't clear up some of that mess, the contrast paint, this brown color goes on beautifully and it covers up the blue quite happily, but the bone really won't. So I am keeping an eye on it and just working out how much cleanup I'm going to have to do and how much I've been a silly boy by not being neater earlier on. And it's quite a lot. I have been a silly boy quite a lot, which is really frustrating. It's not gonna be a massive issue, but it will probably make for quite a boring stream, and I am tempted to maybe try and do it off stream. But I did also promise myself that everything would be done on stream. So you can see my dilemma. I did say we're going to do the whole project on stream. There's no messing about, no doing bits of it backstage and what have you. But then I've realised that me with the white paint just correcting little details like here, you can see that, where I've got a little splodge of blue paint on the gun. So to correct it, I'm going to have to come back with a little splodge of white paint and then go over it with the contrast and then highlight everything up. And that's really frustrating. More frustrating than it has any right to be, really. But it's probably what we're going to have to do, because otherwise those colours are just not going to work right. Oh, there's quite a lot of leather and what have you going on with this guy. Got into quite a few little places with him. Yeah, there's quite a lot of little details on some of these more character type models. So this is one of the call them the armless. They're essentially you get a torso and legs, and then so that's in at the time white metal or pewter or whatever term you want to use for it. And they came with it was just torso and legs. There was no, sorry, I'm just looking at some of these little details, seeing if there's anything else to paint. There were no arms with them. They came with a little plastic arm sprue and a little plastic weapon sprue. And the idea is that you cut them out and glued them all together, and then you ended up with this sort of terrible. I picked this one up on eBay and stripped him, and his arms and the weapon wouldn't come off. You end up with this terrible mismatch of trying to glue three pieces together all at once with super glue, and nothing lining up. And if you're not careful, you end up gluing yourself into the mix, and it's all just a little bit shit. So yeah, oh dear, I do seem to remember this model now. This one has a bit of a growth going on the back of him. I do wonder whether it's too late to clear that off or what it is. Ooh, it is super glue residue. Brilliant. I think somebody stuck a gun to his back or something a long time in the past. Bugger. Now, of course, the problem that I've got is that some of this is going to be undercoated and some of it isn't. Brilliant. Just see if I can clean that up a little bit. That is a bit unfortunate. I did spot it before, but I thought I could be clever and get away with it, because at the point where I spotted it, I didn't need to paint bloody colour. Now I can see that I was very wrong, and I should have dealt with that before now. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully this brown will actually cover it, because this brown will basically go over anything as far as I can tell. And then the rest of it in there is actually going to be silver anyway, where it's chainmail. So we'll capture that chainmail and not have to worry about the fact that we've got just here bare metal going on. because we're going to cover all of that with a coat of silver paint anyway. So it should all work out for the best. Everything's coming up Millhouse. So we have our mod squad here. Oh, this is one of the other sort of fairly cyberpunk-esque looking dudes with a long leather jacket. I just think there's such a stunning little range of models, these ones. Right, getting close to the end of these guys now, so just going to see what we've got in the way of greens in a moment. We will check out whether or not we can get some of the a squad of the scouts and get their green done, which I think would be quite nice. Now this guy, oh look at that, this guy has got fur collar on his jacket, which I think could absolutely be painted in with this, although this is leathery colour, not fur, isn't it? I think fur would probably be better painting that in a grey. Only high quality like wolf fur for our Eldar Guardian guy. Because I think if we could get a squad of the scouts pickled up with all the brown and the green kitted out, I think that would be a really, really nice end to one of our first sort of proper painting streams, because a lot of this has just been setting tone and base tone and getting the prep work right. which is quite a long way from actual miniature painting, but it would be nice to get some models almost looking done. I say that our war walker, losing my voice. Our war walker is looking pretty swish right now. In fact, what I might just do, he's got a couple of pouches in there. Along with some nice straps. And I think what I might also do with him is paint seat padding in the same leathery colour. Because that would be a thing, wouldn't it? Surely. I imagine it would have to be a thing. Look, probably going to be a thing now. I don't know whether this would have looked better maybe in a red, a sort of contrasting colour. Probably a bit late now, as I've already done it. Just trying to be ultra careful here not to smear this lovely brown paint all over any other colour, as we've discovered how well this brown paint actually covers, because it is a really nice coverage contrast paint. Right. Ah, yes, the seat pads. Let's drop a tiny little bit in. Oh, this is going to be really awkward, isn't it? As I've just talked about how well it covers, now we're trying to paint this tiny bit of real estate between his legs without smearing it all over him, which, as much as it's a lovely colour for leather, it would be an unfortunate colour to have smeared all in between your legs. Oh, shit. Quite literally. That's worked out relatively okay. There's a horrible little snaggy detail in between his legs that I hadn't noticed before, and we're in a bit too deep now to try and correct it, so that's going to stay. Right, there we go. That's his crash couch sort of done. It's rather more reserved than the normal red era of these Eldar. See, look, I did get a bit of poopy brown in amongst his on his calves there, but that will clean up. I will clean that up when I come and reapply some paint later on. So that's looking pretty good. Now, what do we have left here to do? Let's see if we can do a little bit of brown on these guys. Rinse out this brush so that we're not dumping, so it's not all claggy, which is nothing worse than having a claggy brush. And as much as I just talked about how I would like to get these guys painted up with their cloaks on stream, I don't think that's going to happen tonight. I reckon we are going to get the browns done on them, and then the greens will have to wait for another day. Thankfully, that day is tomorrow. We are back tomorrow. We will be attempting to get back onto our regular. Now, do we reckon that green goes over the top of that? Is that like a loop? Like a belt loop in a bathrobe? I'm looking at these guys and their fancy camo cloaks in a slightly different manner when I imagine them in brushed cotton toweling material. Yeah, but it's Camellia line. Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, we are back on to our normal streaming schedule now. From today, we will be streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, day off on Thursday, and then back to it on Friday and Saturday. I don't think I've got D&D this weekend now. I think we've changed it to have a little bit of a break, in which case I will quite possibly go live both Saturday and Sunday, but I will keep things updated on Discord, so keep an eye out for any announcements there, and I will say if anything changes. There's a weird little belt loop thing going on here. It is almost exactly like a bathrobe. Look at this. Hadn't noticed that before, but that's almost exactly what it's like. This must be for pinning the cloak back out of their ways. Look. Bit funky, isn't it? Don't worry, I haven't missed the fact that there's a giant gemstone in the middle of that that belt buckle. I will be getting to it, but I want to paint in the rest of them before I come back and do the gemstones almost last. Don't know. I might do them as I work on them, but per each model they will almost certainly be one of the last things on each model. They're so small and tiny that the last thing you really want to do is to paint them in. I know some people will paint in detail areas before they finish base coating, and you know, they'll do other weird and wonderful things. Yeah, I've seen people who don't undercoat. They'll paint straight on to bare metal or bare plastic or however it is. And from what I understand, it's actually a solid method if the model is never going to be handled. If it's never going to be handled, then it doesn't need primer, because nothing is ever going to dislodge that paint. It still seems weird as hell to me. But at the end of the day, everyone's different. After all, there are even some people out there who eat Marmite. So, you know, it takes all sorts of weird and wonderful people. Sorry, I don't actually know where I was going with that analogy now. I think I might just be babbling. Let's get this last little bit of leather done. We've got one more model after this one. We have virtually no time, so we will, as soon as we're done, we're looking at ending the stream. Okay, a little bit more brown on him than anyone else. I think he's probably been one of the most bagged up guys in that range, that scout there, until we get to this guy, of course, who is our number one. He's the squad lead, and by all rights he should, yes, look at this, he's got plenty of brown on him. Good old boy. We've got some belt holsters and some straps and some pouches and everything to paint on this one. I am going to keep it pretty much the same brown throughout. I might, as we get further through the model, paint some of these slightly different shades, different highlights, different textures on them, just to add a little bit of contrast between the different things that we've got going on here. You know, we've got a belt buckle and his bandolier straps that we should probably do something to differentiate them. Oh, right, nearly done. This guy has by far and away the most brown on him. I should have known. The last model that I'm going to do is going to have all of the brown, because that's just the logic, isn't it? I mean, you all knew it was going to happen. Right, there we go. I'm sure I will have missed something that will become apparent later on, but we are now really closing in on some finished models, or at least some models where all of the colours have been applied. I say, oh, that's not finished. That's, you know, I've applied all the colours, but not all of the colours have been worked up and finished and highlighted, and you know, so it's base coated, and that will be quite an achievement for me, getting everything base coated. So I'm actually quite looking forward to progressing with that. We have a bunch of models here which are really coming along nicely, so I am very much pleased with what we're achieving on each and every stream. It's actually really enthusing me to continue with what we're doing. So we will work our way through. Like I say, we're just working on base coats at the moment, getting these guys set up and ready to go. I won't generally, I'm going to try not to do anything off stream, because I don't think it's fair. It's a bit of a weird one. When I say fair, it's not necessarily fair to me, fair to you guys, and to my family as well. To spend, you know, I'm going to spend all that free time that I'm not streaming painting these miniatures. So I think I'm going to try and keep everything on stream. So you will have to bear with us. It does mean that, you know, things like watching me correct where I've been a silly, careless boy will be a thing on some future streams. But hopefully I haven't been too careless. I think I've been fairly neat with a lot of it. And we won't have too much of that to worry about. If any of Badger's Raiders are still in the chat, thank you very much for sticking with us right from the start of the stream. For any of Phil's Raiders, or yeah, Freya's Raiders came in as well, and if any of Phil's Raiders are still with us, thank you very much as well. I hope you've enjoyed the show. A little bit of a difference to your normal Mech Warrior stuff, but yeah, for now that's me done. So I am going to look and see if I can find another streamer to drop you guys on. I do very much appreciate everyone who drops by. If you like what you've seen, please do drop us a little follow. It'd be very much appreciated. So thank you guys. Until next time, tomorrow 8 o'clock. Take care. Here we go, guys. Sorry to keep you all, but I'm going to drop you on one of my absolute favourite painters. If you like this, what I'm doing, you will be blown away by how good this one is. Give it up for Ren Temple. Good night, folks. Yeah.